The Spot Track Podcast, talking sports contracts, the salary cap, and business of sports.
Well, everybody, welcome to the SpotTrack.com podcast. Kevin Sylvester, Paul Peck, along with the founder of SpotTrack.com, Mike Giannetti. Paul and I from BuffaloSportsPage.com. Mike from, of course, SpotTrack.com. And none of us have reported to spring training.
We reported here for this. Which wasn't particularly easy this morning, but we're here.
Yes. Well, come on. We're Buffalo, you know. Put the boots on, get
the
your
rest
butt
of the
out the
country's
door.
struggling, though, huh?
Yeah, that's for sure.
30 degrees in Vegas today, I saw.
I'd rather be driving in ice and freezing rain in Buffalo than 30 degrees in Vegas, I think.
I would agree with that. But pitchers and catchers did report today, and that's about it when it comes to baseball, Mike.
There's some open roster spots, that's for sure.
Right? And how about Justin Verlander tweeting that the system's broken because everybody's about building the future? It's like you couldn't do that with Bryce Harper
what are we talking about?
Manny Machado?
Look, he's piggybacking off of stuff we've said here for months now.
Maybe he listens.
We need to stop considering 10-year deals. Players aren't getting them anymore. That's what this is. This is a stance against that. That's what it is. And Bryce Harper, and I'm starting to hear it finally, Bryce Harper should strongly be considering a 2-year deal at maximum money anywhere he wants. If the Giants want to do that.
Sure.
Why is it a hard sell, do you think? And maybe it isn't. Why is it a hard sell for Bryce to say, do a 2-year deal because 2 years from now we can do another deal and you can get maybe even more money than you do now? Why do you think that?
Because the guys like Scott Boras and Bryce Harper, they look at websites like SpotTrack and see lots of baseball players who have 8 and 10-year deals. And
it's your fault.
He wants to be the biggest across the board. And it's just an antiquated thought. We need to start thinking. It makes no sense. He's 26 years old.
Yeah.
Betting on yourself is not a problem.
It's not like he's not playing for another 10 years.
There's no problem betting on yourself here. In fact, control should be the sexiest thing in the world to him. Right? I'll go 2 for 75 in San Francisco. When they don't win the World Series, I'm back on the market, and I can go wherever I want for 2 more years.
Well, he's also 26.
He's 26.
Tell me any 26-year-old right now who knows where they want to be for the next decade.
And that's the other thing. 10 years in a sport with money that makes, a sport that makes this much money, you don't want to lock yourself in for $30 million for 10 years because the highest paid salary in 5 years might be $45 million.
Yeah,
then where is he?
It's a perception thing because it's always been about the long contracts, right?
Here's one more gripe I have, and it's not Bryce Harper related. Well, it sort of is. It's sort of fantasy baseball time in my world, right? And in a lot of people's worlds, we're starting to get our heads wrapped around that because spring training and training camp starts right now. How is anybody handling fantasy baseball right now? I'm seeing all these magazines and books published. What are these numbers saying?
They got deadlines to meet, so they got to put stuff out.
But they're complete garbage.
I would agree, yes.
Unless it's an online system that can update immediately when Bryce Harper signs, everything's going to change the second all these guys sign.
And that's a little bit of the fallacy of kind of the world that we live in now is that these magazines have to be done 6 weeks ago, and they're all going to be completely irrelevant, which means, what's the future of magazines in this regard? So
what's the future of magazines, period?
Well, paper.
Right? I mean, come on.
Trees.
How far down the rabbit hole do we want to go?
I was just going to say the only existence for magazines, they're going to print an issue for every public restroom in America. That's it.
Oh, my God. I can't even imagine, though, how bad these rankings are going to look when Bryce Harper signs with the Yankees.
Right.
I mean, Aaron Judge's numbers drop him. There's just
correct.
A trickle-down system.
All right, so how long is this going to go on? Not to put you on the spot here, but now training camps have started. We know we're 6 weeks away from the start of the season.
Yeah.
Give me a date. When's Harper going to sign?
I've got a really terrible, corny idea. That's probably going to be wrong. But look at what's Thursday. Thursday's Valentine's Day. What better way to announce a
Giants,
contract?
won't you be my Valentine?
No. What better way to announce a 10-year deal in the city of love?
Aha!
Than Bryce Harper with the Philadelphia Phillies on Valentine's Day.
Mike working hard on the marketing end of things.
Cliches all over today.
By the way, that moniker for the city of brotherly love, with a mascot named Gritty. For the Flyers.
And,
maybe the meanest
sometimes about the meanest people in the world, right?
Yes. Which, by the way, the Washington Post did a great, because I was showing my 9-year-old, quick tangent here. He was asking about, hey, what's that mascot? I go, you talking about Gritty?
Yeah.
And so we watched the thought process behind Gritty. The guy who was the Philly fanatic, the original, this is what he does now. He's got a business where he consults franchises on mascots, helps them create mascots and the personality of the mascot. And he had said to the Flyers, look, no matter what we do, you're going to get killed. We're going to get killed here for a while. Like, nobody's going to love it. And because nobody loved it on the internet, the city of Philadelphia said, you can't screw with our guy, even though they all thought it was, kind of stupid to begin with. Like, no.
Yeah.
You don't mess with ours.
That's right.
And so it took 12 hours for the city of Philadelphia to fall in love with Gritty because the rest of the country was like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Are you talking about Dave Raymond, the former
Dave
Raymond,
Raymond,
whose father was the legendary head football coach of the Delaware Blue Hens, by the way? Tubby Raymond.
Your nerd level just went up 20.
Well, I have a friend who knows Dave Raymond, so I know that story.
All right.
How about that for a high school reunion question, though? Huh? What do you do? Well, I consult teams on mascots and the ability to wow.
I used to shoot things at umpires and wave my big gut at people and drive a four-wheeler around.
So did he consult the Bills to change Billy Buffalo from a badass to a Care Bear?
I don't know.
Okay.
I
Anyhow,
don't know.
we digress.
Yes,
So
we do.
There's an issue with baseball.
We'll see.
We'll see if something happens this week. One other quick thing, baseball, but the transition to football. Kyler Murray made his decision, left the Athletics. He's going football.
Yeah.
What does this mean for him financially?
So it's a good move financially. I mean, if he must be hearing, what we're all sort of hearing in terms of his draft spot. If he's anywhere in the top 35, he's making $8 million guaranteed right off the bat, no matter what happens. Even if it gets hurt, all those things we've talked about with football versus baseball. When he hits the draft, if he's drafted top 35, he's already way ahead of the game. That's a problem with baseball. Baseball can, offer the world, but there's slotted bonuses. I mean, he's number 9 overall. He's making $4.6 million, and then he's down to minimum non-guaranteed contracts through A-ball and AA and AAA, which he's going to go through. And maybe that's for another discussion. Why does a guy this athletic and this, superstar?
Why waste the time, right?
Why can't he play in the big leagues right now? Is it a wooden bat conspiracy? Right, the fact
that's
that he can't use a wooden
bat. I think sometimes that's part of it. That transition.
I mean, doesn't baseball need to start considering some sort of change? Don't we need players?
Baseball
to
and change, really, Mike?
I mean, there's got to be a quicker translation to a new guy in the league.
Yeah,
go away for 5 years and then we'll see.
It's simple.
If it works out.
It's simple, and you'll see even trickle down to junior high baseball in leagues where they use wood now. So have the colleges use wood.
Yeah, I guess that's where I was going.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, college football is sort of caught up to the NFL, right? I mean, there's an easy translation there. That's why we can see quarterbacks day one now. Baseball's way behind the game. This guy's a freak athlete from all cords, right? And he's 5 years away from making the major leagues. That's not good.
I don't know why the NCAA doesn't mandate the use of wooden bats.
Mm-hmm.
It's the reason why they do it in high school. It's a player safety issue.
And a cost.
It's expensive, yeah. It's expensive.
Cost issue, too.
Yeah.
Have you priced out an aluminum bat recently?
They're crazy.
I know they are,
crazy.
but the thinking always is that you're going to buy it once and you're never going to have to replace it. Wood bats, you got to buy, you got to replace.
I will say this: there are some wooden bats that are ridiculously priced too.
Yeah.
The axe handles and all these different things. Like, no, just give me an old Adirondack Ted Simmons model.
Cork it up.
Nice. Ted Simmons was awesome.
Give me the Sammy Sosa special. Cork that thing up. Let's go.
That's right. I tried doing that in hh school once in woodshop class.
Yeah.
Did you really?
I said, the Chardonnay or the Marlowe version of that cork?
No, I said, I want to make a bat, and the instructor's like, well, you'd have to get ash. I go, nah, we're just going to make it. So we made it out of oak, and I said, now I want to cork it. And he's like, how do we do it? I said, well, let's research how to do it. So we drilled it out there. We put the cork in, went out, and it just shattered. I didn't do it right, obviously. The cap came off, and the cork came flying out. A la Albert Bell, right?
That's right.
Yes.
He had lead come flying out.
Yeah, who had
right?
didn't somebody have the Super Balls come out of it, too, once?
That's right.
Yes, that's right.
They had put, rubber Super Balls in
find
it?
this on YouTube
yeah,
now.
okay.
Yes.
All right, so
I'm going to say Rob Deere, but that's probably not right.
Are we ready to talk some quarterbacks now?
Well, let's
do
talk
it.
about quarterbacks because, free agency is coming up in about a month. It's time
Exactly
for
a month, yeah.
You've got players being released now in the NFL, but the quarterback carousel, it could be interesting again because you have players that could be released,
right,
traded, and then you've got free agents.
So that's why I wanted to jump the gun now and do it a month out, because I think we're going to see some quarterback releases maybe in the next few days, if not today. I mean, we've already heard a few reports that some are coming. Ryan Tannehill for one. I think that's locked, right? Blake Bortles probably a lock.
Sure.
So there's going to be some movement starting this week, in my opinion, and then from there, yeah, I do think we'll start to hear trade rumors. I don't know how deep we'll get with that. Matthew Stafford's been on this trade block, rumored to be on this trade block for months.
That's really interesting to me.
And here's why I'm bringing it up, because somebody had to leak that.
Sure.
Is it the agent? Somebody wants out here, is my point. If this is being leaked to the mainstream,
I would want to guess this is a team thing.
Well,
I'd say the opposite.
I think there could be a little bit of both. Matthew Stafford's for sure overpaid, and he's overpaid because his rookie contract was massive, and they've been rolling over dead cap ever since. Like the Lions have been terrible at managing cap over the past 7-8 years. They're finally getting better at that, but he's been a thorn in their cap because of the way his contracts have been structured. So from a financial standpoint, there's no question he's a problem for them, and he's not winning. He's not winning.
Just aside from all this, Matthew Stafford is. We could do a whole podcast on Matthew Stafford. He's an incredibly polarizing guy in that he's earned a ton of money. He's put up incredible stats. He has won absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
He's thrown for 4,000 yards, almost as much as anybody. He's a darling of the fantasy world.
He's likable too. He plays hurt.
He plays hurt. He plays hard. He's won nothing. He has never elevated that team to anything beyond the mediocrity they've been, and that to me is incredibly interesting because how good is he? Where do you rank him? If we were going to do quarterback rankings, I bet you 10 people would rank him in 10 different spots.
So that's sort of why I wanted to start with him, because he is polarizing in that regard, but I think you could still sell him as a above average quarterback, maybe sort of elite, right?
I think above average is fair. I don't think elite is fair.
I guess on the trade block I'm saying, could you sell him as an elite quarterback to somebody?
I think Odell Beckham Jr. would take him in New York, throwing him footballs.
Mm-hmm.
That's an upgrade. That's an upgrade. See, what's interesting...
Hang on. Is it an upgrade?
Over Eli Manning? Yes.
Yeah.
No, at this point, what Eli Manning is right now, no doubt. But see, that's what I'm interested in. Put Matthew Stafford on a somewhat respectable team, and you'll find out whether he's a fake stats guy or a legitimately can help you win guy.
I look at this a different way. I think your quarterback makes your team respectable, and so plugging him in to a better team is going to make him a better quarterback.
Or expose him.
I'm not sure the Giants are a better team than the Lions are either.
Well, hang on. They've got a better running game.
For sure, the weapons are better.
Because they have a better running game, and they've got one of the top receivers in the National Football League. I think they're a better football team. Eli Manning has deteriorated, or maybe he just played above his average when he won a couple Super Bowls in the playoffs. I don't know that Matthew Stafford is that good. And that's probably what the Lions, if the Lions are floating this out there, they're probably thinking, geez, and maybe Matthew Patricia going through 1 year as his coach said, we're not winning with this guy.
Well, he knows good quarterbacks, too.
Yeah.
Right.
and he knows that that's not the kind of guy that you win with.
But he also knows we're putting all this money into this guy, and the team I came from wins without putting all this money into a guy.
So that's exactly why I think this offseason would be the time to go, right?
Sure.
If I'm the Lions, and I've been thinking about this for 2.5 years, right? Like we sort of feel like he's not the right guy, even though he's our first round pick and we paid him a ton of money. And the dead cap is unbelievable, right? They're definitely not releasing him by any regard. He's still got guarantees through next year, so it's about a trade. But that's what I mean. I think these conversations are being had everywhere with him. I think he's great, but what if he was somewhere else? But maybe he's not great. And if he went somewhere else, he would be worse.
And if you are somewhere else, right, you have to have that discussion. Well, man, we have to give up for this guy. A couple of first-rounders, a first and second, and take on that money.
Less than you think.
It'd be unprecedented, though.
Because of the money, right? Because of the money that you'd have to absorb. I think that kills the return, doesn't it?
No, it'd be unprecedented because he's a arguably elite quarterback being traded.
Yeah.
What do we compare that to?
Right. In a nutshell, what's the money situation? If I'm the Giants and I want to make this trade, what do they have to absorb?
In terms of salary coming over, it's about $20 million a year more. It's about $22 million a year over the next 4 years. So 4 for 88 estimation.
It's not crazy with the cap going up $10 million.
No, but to me that hurts the trade value. That knocks the trade value from 2 number ones to a 1 and a 3 or something like that.
Well, all right. So let's look at some teams that need quarterbacks. Right, Jacksonville needs a quarterback.
Let's actually start with that point on a global effort here, because we're talking about. This is sort of like the quarterback roulette, right? Like where are these guys getting traded? Where are these free agent guys going to end up? These guys coming out of the draft. Isn't that the biggest point to make? I think there's 2 teams that actually need a quarterback right now. So we're talking about 15 guys, and I don't think any of them are going to be starting quarterbacks next year.
See, to me, what's interesting about this year is there are fewer teams that need quarterbacks than ever before, because so many teams have invested in first-round picks over the last 5 to 7 years. The fact that you said 2, I think you're thinking Washington and Jacksonville are the 2 that don't have it. Miami may be in that group if they move on Tannehill.
Miami's in that group. Come on.
All right, so let's say there's only having 3 teams that need quarterbacks is kind of a low number.
I'll say 4. You got to throw the Giants in, right?
I don't think you do.
All the reports say they're letting Eli ride this thing out for a year. Maybe he takes a pay cut. I'd say probably he takes a pay cut, but still. They're going to draft somebody, put him behind Eli for a year, and play the Patrick Mahomes situation is what they're going to do here. But I think it's a waste of Saquon Barkley and Odell Beckham personally.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think what is going to change? You went out and spent some money on the offensive line. Not great pass protecting, but you had a running game.
Yeah.
You've got the receiver who's pissed.
Yeah.
All the time.
He's always pissed.
You arguably have the best wide receiver and the best running back in all of football. On rookie cap. Well, Beckham's paid now, but his cap's going to be low this year because of the extension. This is the window. This is the time, and they really botched this thing with Eli, in my opinion. They should have done this 3 years ago.
They should have done it when they did it. When they did it, they should have stuck to their guns instead of acquiescing to fans and media and public pressure in New York, because at the time, I thought personally it was absolutely the right move to make to bench him. He was awful at the time. So it was time to move on.
Are you saying no Saquon? Are you saying they should have taken a quarterback?
No. I'm saying when they benched Eli Manning originally 2 seasons ago, they should have stuck with. Well, you're asking me to predict what the reaction would have been. Yeah, I guess they would have drafted a quarterback last year with no Saquon.
They would have had to done something.
Or they would have signed a veteran or something. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of hard to know what would have happened. But I go back to that moment when they benched Eli, when he absolutely deserved to be benched, and all of a sudden they wilted under the pressure.
What I think is there's fear of the unknown here for the Giants. Right? They have a guy who's won 2 Super Bowls, the quarterback.
So sick of hearing that.
Well, listen, I agree with you. That's the past, but. They move on from him like, well, what do you have? Right?
Let's talk about it.
And, we're going to become the Buffalo Bills, right? Waiting to get somebody?
Let me ask you this question. They cut him. Let's say they cut him before that $5 million roster bonus kicks in, right?
Yep.
Is Ryan Fitzpatrick a better option for them right now?
Joe Flacco is.
But I'm thinking even cheap. I'm thinking cheap. Is Tyrod Taylor a better option than Eli Manning right now?
No.
I think you're wrong. I think both those guys are completing 62% of those passes.
But
Eli completes 56.
But let's talk about the New York Giants. The standard's different for the Giants. No, the standard's different because their standard is about trying to win Super Bowls. And Tyrod Taylor has made the playoff 1 time as a starting quarterback, a backdoor lucky pass, non-tackle by the Ravens a couple years ago. And when you talk about who's the other guy you asked about?
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Okay, they saw that show the Sundays they didn't play, and hey, he's great for 8 weeks.
Great.
And then the other 8,
disaster.
Yeah.
I think there's a better option out there.
And I like Fitz. I mean, Fitz is like the perfect backup quarterback to have on your roster.
As long as he doesn't have to play.
But Fitz is the perfect quarterback to have on this with these weapons. Tyrod Taylor's best year was with LaShawn McCoy, who had a phenomenal season with the Bills.
Well, and he had Watkins also.
And he had Watkins.
Receiver. You make it. Listen,
I'm just saying
it's an interesting case.
You could save $12 million by doing either of those things.
But
right now,
but $12 million to the New York Giants,
it should matter.
It should
matter because they got to rebuild their entire defense. They cut or traded half their defense in the past 6 months. They've got work to do.
Well, they have to make their issue with moving on. If they don't make a trade to bring in a quarterback,
very possible,
like Flacco or somebody.
Yeah, Derek Carr maybe.
Right.
Very possible.
If they don't do that, then what the hell are they doing? Because they don't want to waste, as you mentioned, why waste Saquon Barkley and Odell Beckham Jr.? They're in these are the years to use them.
I agree. And I'm not even going to knock the Saquon Barkley draft pick because we're here now. And
the guy's a great player.
And they were terrible again, and they've got a nice, solid first-round pick. They can take Dwayne Haskins, wherever it's going to be this year, and slow play that process. Doesn't need to be Eli with him. It doesn't. It can be any of these free agents out there, any of them, and I think it's a better situation.
What's going to happen with Nick Foles? You mentioned Derek Carr and Nick Foles. To me, those are, and Matthew Stafford, I mean, those are three pretty enticing names for teams that want to change quarterbacks.
Yep, even on a bridge level, right? Nick Foles, to me, I'm not the biggest Nick Foles guy in the world. I'm just not. I love the story. I love that he's been able to be, an adequate, placeholder essentially for a good team here. They're not trading him to Washington, right?
No, they're not going to trade him.
That's probably the best fit for him right now. But the Eagles aren't trading him to the Washington
They're
Redskins.
not trading him to the Giants either.
Right. So is it Jacksonville or bust?
They had done
for Nick
that
Foles?
once with a quarterback.
Yeah, they have. And it did not go
just
well
to
for the
remind you.
Redskins.
Just to remind you.
I did some research on Donovan McNabb, by the way. That was the biggest fleece job in the history of NFL football contracts. Donovan McNabb got traded to the Washington Redskins, was awful for 6 weeks, then signed like an $80 million contract in November, in the middle of an awful year, and then was gone in February. and basically never played again. He went to the Vikings
Daniel
for a
Snyder
cup of coffee.
all
It
over
was
Yep.
Albert Hainsworth times 2. It was unbelievable.
Yep.
So look up that when you have some downtime. But they're not going to do that, right? They're not.
Who's better? Who's better, Nick Foles or Joe Flacco? Who would you rather have? To me, they're kind of the same.
I would rather have Nick Foles because of
age,
a lack of injury history, and the age, and he's won more. Nick Foles has been a legitimate postseason quarterback.
Well, they both won a Super Bowl.
That was forever ago.
I know.
That's like saying Eli Manning's won 2.
Well, okay.
We're done with that.
All right.
It's forever ago.
We've touched a nerve, Kevin.
No. I'm all for giving guys their due, but,
Yeah. Hey, listen, Julian Edelman's a Hall of Famer. All right. Everybody's a Hall of Famer.
This is not a wide receiver conversation.
No, I'm just saying that argument about Super Bowls now, right? Yeah.
That's right.
Flacco is good.
Good.
Yeah.
Foles is good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's a lot of
with pieces around them. I think those guys can be successful.
For me, it's less about Foles being good or bad. It's about if he's going to be traded. If he's going to get franchise tagged and traded, I don't think the Eagles shop him in the division. So where does he fall? Is it going to be Miami? Is that probably his best spot?
Well, there's one of those spots, right? Yeah. And you don't. There's a name on that you don't even have necessarily on the list that we're talking about here that I think is going to be in play, and that's Bridgewater. Because I think some people will tell you he is the best candidate available on the market at 26 years old. Well, if he's back to who he was, and I don't know that he is, but if he is at 26 years old, who has shown that he can be a really good quarterback, I'd rather have him before I take any of those other guys.
Do you pay any of these players? Like, is Nick Foles really getting a $20 million contract?
No. Unless it's a really short-term deal because whoever signs him and needs him to be the starter that year wants to pay him what starter money is.
Well,
the Dolphins would probably have to do that, right?
Well, no, non-tax state. They don't have to pay him that much. You get less. I'm kidding.
I mean, if Dak Prescott's going to get 25, 26.
That's what I'm saying. It's the going rate.
Foles is a Super Bowl winner. He'll get $20 million.
For me, he's the only guy here. I don't think Bridgewater gets there.
No.
Bridgewater played on
still
$6 million contract.
There's still too much prove it with Bridgewater.
Yeah, and he's getting up there now. I mean, he's
26.
Yeah.
That's not up
what the
there.
Hell?
It will be.
Quarterbacks.
What's John Elway going to do in Denver?
Sounds like
stop
Case
picking
Keenum
quarterbacks.
It sounds like Case Keenum stays one more year. Although it's a pretty easy out if they want to move on. Look, that to me is a very interesting landing spot for Matthew Stafford. That just feels like the right move, right? Detroit could get a quarterback back in Case Keenum on a fairly decent one-year deal, and then they can go from there. But if any of these teams that are going to move around a little bit, and if Matthew Stafford is really in play, even if it's just a little bit, and there's some discussions being had, That just seems like a John Elway guy, doesn't it? Matthew
Sure,
Stafford,
right?
Just kind of a baller type player, baseball guy too, right?
And let me ask about Derek Carr.
I think he stays. I think the Oakland's done enough, gouging their roster.
By the way, they're
trying
playing.
cash.
They're playing in San Fran next year, right?
Not officially
They're
yet because there's been
Well,
pushback.
They're trying to play where the Giants play.
Baseball stadium,
Yeah.
right? Which is a disaster. It's a gorgeous baseball stadium.
Right.
They're going to destroy
Apparently,
it.
the teams would have to be on the same sideline, which hasn't happened. Can you remember the last time that happened?
Oh, my God.
No.
The last time I believe that happened in the NFL was when the Packers used to play games in County Stadium in Milwaukee.
I will say this. That's good TV with John Gruden.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, is there a coach's box?
There's like a wall.
You're going to have to keep him out of the other guy's box, right?
There's a wall. Here's the name that I'm super. I don't know if you're finished.
I think
there.
I'm rooting for that. Now.
Here's the name that I'm really intrigued by, and I'm curious as to why you even have him on on the list here.
Yeah.
It's really Josh Rosen.
All
You
right.
think is not? You think they're thinking about doing something other than that?
Well, he wants Kyler Murray.
That's
right?
exactly it.
Yeah.
Well, wait.
Those
Why?
can't just be
wait,
rumors.
Wait. Why do you say that he won't? Because he said it a year ago when he was
Yeah.
a college coach? Come on.
What
You're crazy.
No,
Oh,
I'm
no.
not crazy.
Oh, no,
Paul.
no. Oh, no.
Boy,
All
you
the-
are. Wait, who whizzed in your Cheerios this morning?
No,
Little ice?
all the Arizona guys have been saying this now for weeks.
But based on is it based on more than what he said a year ago?
Paul, do you
This
think
isn't
Kyler?
a show about facts, Paul.
Yes. Do you think? Well, hang on. Kyler. I'll use a fact.
Sure.
Kyler Murray is going towards football. What do you think? People haven't told him or his agent, like, hey,
Yeah.
go in. You're going to be taken here at least.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
But that doesn't to automatically assume.
I'm not
to me
assuming. I'm-
that because Kingsbury said it a year ago that he loved him. That means that he's going to trade his first round pick from a year ago now for him. That's a big stretch for me.
Guys love guys, and
Yeah, but there's a limit on all of that,
No.
Kevin.
All right,
There's
I'll
a
tell you-
limit on all of that.
I'll tell you a few hockey
and it
stories.
might not be his ultimate decision either.
Oh, hogwash! Are you kidding me?
Are you?
Come on. You're naive if you think that the new coach of the Cardinals isn't going to be able to draft his guy. You're kidding.
And you think the GM is automatically going to let him trade the guy that he drafted the year before?
I think the damn owner's going to let my coach have his guy.
Let me say this.
I don't buy it.
This would be a positive for me. I would love this. I would love the Arizona Cardinals to sit back and say, well, we took a swing on Josh Rosen. We don't like how that looks at all. Let's get the heck out of this right now because we've got a chance at this guy, and we know that might work really well.
When's the last time that ever happened?
Doesn't
with
matter.
A first-round pick.
Doesn't matter. My
quarterback?
point is, we're in a rookie wage scale system. You can do that stuff now. And guess what? Those Denver Broncos we were just talking about, they take Josh Rosen tomorrow.
Sure.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's a perfect first-round quarterback to bust out in John Elway's system again, right? That's Paxton Lynch 2.0. Josh Rosen.
You have to find a quarterback that can win, and one if you think is better.
Yeah.
You owe it to your team, your fans. Larry Fitzgerald was coming back again. You owe it to him.
Yep.
You get, to get whom you think is a better quarterback to come in.
Now, do you think Larry Fitzgerald made that decision to come back thinking that he's going to have to deal with another rookie quarterback?
I think he's excited as heck at the opportunity of Kyler Murray.
Sure.
Look,
Yes.
Boy, I don't buy any of this. None of it. I don't buy any of it.
So maybe it's not likely, but it's very possible. It's very possible that the Arizona Cardinals draft a
You got
quarterback.
to open your mind, man.
No.
There's come on.
I
suck. That team sucked.
Yeah, well, it was 1 year. Teams. How do we have to go through the discussion about how teams can turn
Yeah.
things around in a year?
Yes.
Yes, they can.
they should.
And they can know from a year, hey, we had this guy's our quarterback. Hey,
Nobody knows from a year, Kevin.
You know what, Paul?
Nobody does.
You're old guy, get off my lawn guy right now.
No, you're wrong. I think you guys are sucked into the BS Twitter garbage that Kingsbury, when he was a college coach a year ago and somebody asked him about Kyler Murray, said how much he loved him, and now we're going to fast forward a year. He's not even in the same job, in the same sport anymore, and we're automatically assuming he's going to trade Rosen because he loved Kyler Murray a year ago.
Guys, you're naive to think that personnel men who scout players and want to get players and can't get them in the draft don't stay with players and want to get those players when they get the opportunity.
Yes.
And I've seen it happen in the NHL with GMs who've loved guys, said they've loved guys for years, and went out and got the guy 5 years later, 4 years later. It's happened.
That's different than 1 year later.
Paul, it's a different guy. Why? What the hell does Kingsbury have? What connection does he have to Rosen? None.
What connection does any of these coaches have to any of the quarterbacks that they have?
If you're interviewing, you want to be a head coach of a National Football
and you don't
League,
think part of that interview process is this is our guy, you got to figure out how to make him work?
And my point is, you don't think part of that process is, hey, I don't like your quarterback. Can I change it?
I think that's wrong,
Look,
Kevin.
there was a lot to not like about Josh Rosen.
Yes.
There was a lot. I mean, and the personality was probably
As with
number one.
any rookie quarterback.
No. I don't think so. There's a reason he went, fourth? Was he fourth?
He was the fourth.
He was fourth. There's a reason he was fourth.
Right.
Arizona basically had to settle for him. Let's be fair. They settled for him. He was the fourth taken out of the top 10, right? So there's a very good chance that they just don't see it, that he's tough to deal with, that the athleticism isn't there. There is no questioning the mannerism and the athleticism of Kyler Murray, not to mention the relationship with the coach.
All right,
not to mention Baker Mayfield is working out gangbusters. Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes, these athletes, are taking over the league. They've been doing this for 5 years now. Baker Mayfield immediately made an impact on this Cleveland Browns team, and that's the same player.
I think the
same player.
Yeah, I think Kyler Murray just focusing on football, to me, says everything.
Yep.
Whether it's the Cardinals, somebody's taking him at first stab they can, and that guy's not going to last past the top 10.
All right, we'll put an end to this discussion by saying if this happens, I'm buying you guys lunch.
Great.
If Rosen stays, you guys are buying me lunch.
What if they draft him and keep Rosen?
That's very possible.
That would be really interesting.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
I think they're drafting him.
Another discussion for another topic, another time.
Wait,
but
is this bet? No,
I still think Kyler Murray is a major reach as a top 15 pick. This is a sport of big men, and to think that a 5'8" guy is going to come in, I don't care how athletic he is, I don't care how much the game has changed, I think you're taking a major putting yourself out on a limb and a major risk to just make the assumption. And ultimately, I think in reality, when that draft comes around, he's not going to be a top 15 pick. That's just my opinion in what I've read and what I've talked to people. I think he's too small. He's too small. Now, that doesn't mean there isn't one team that doesn't think that way, but he's 3 inches shorter than Baker Mayfield.
Yep.
And 25 pounds lighter than Baker Mayfield.
What's the budget for lunch, Paul? That's on this bet?
Filet mignon, man.
Filet. You've heard it here first
Yes.
on the SpotTrack.com podcast. All right. Let's move on to some. By the way, happy birthday to RG3. 29 years old.
All right.
The day we recorded this podcast.
Okay.
I say that to kind of think, geez, he's 29? Yeah. RG3's been around that long. Yes. Yeah. All right. Let's move on.
Can't wait to see him playing in the Alliance of American Football soon.
Think so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched some of that Saturday night.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of people watched it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Let's see if they keep watching it.
Yeah. Here's my opinion.
Quarterbacking is bad.
The offensive line
is
it's not
worse.
there. Yeah. It's not there.
Yeah. And here's the other thing. It's disingenuous for them to sell it as a developmental league because it's not. Because most of those guys have been cut numerous times. They're 4 or 5 years out of the NFL. There'll be very, very few players that make the move back to the NFL.
I like the rule changes though. That is.
I like the audible referees.
Right. Yes.
I like that a lot.
That stuff. That's good. The kickoffs. No kickoffs. Everybody goes for 2.
Hey, it's fun. It's fun. It's football. The question is going to become: does America love football or do they love NFL football? That's a big difference.
All right. Let's talk NBA here because the trade deadline went down, and the trade that didn't happen is the big news. Like how the Lakers basically said, here, you can have everything. We'll give you Kurt Rambis's game-worn jersey from the finals. We'll give you everything to get Johnson. And they didn't. It didn't happen.
The glasses? Specs? The specs from Rambis?
Kareem's specs. Rambis wore
the Rambis ones.
No, Rambis wore the dark-rimmed glasses. Yeah. No, Kareem wore their specs.
Right, but Rambis had the dark-rimmed glasses. That's what I was thinking of.
They're both quality.
Obviously we're talking Anthony Davis here.
I said John Scarr.
That's okay. 2 thumbs up for the Pelicans here. 2 thumbs up. Small markets got to fight, and that's what they're doing right now. They basically are saying we're not going to get pushed around. This guy doesn't have a no trade clause, right? This guy yes, it's a player centric league. That's the generation we're in. These guys talk in the locker rooms. They go out to dinner. They're going to have their conversations. This collusion is going to happen. There's no stopping it. But we can stop this guy from leaving us right now for an entire year. He's under contract all of next year. So they're gonna get what they can get. And when they're ready to move, and when 3 first-round picks and 3 players and whatever the heck they need comes to their table, they'll take it. I don't think it'll be the Lakers. I think the Lakers are going to sour on this big time now. There's a chance that
Magic Johnson already came out and said they weren't negotiating in good faith.
You know what? Too damn bad, Magic.
Right.
Yeah.
Too damn bad that you and LeBron James couldn't fleece a small city out of their best player in the middle of a year.
I thought those comments were a little misguided.
I mean,
like they didn't accept your offer. That's not negotiating in good faith. They just said no.
I get it. LeBron, runs the league, and these guys want to win tomorrow. Well, too bad. There's 30 teams, right? And a lot of them have good players. And at any point in time, any of those teams could be top 5, right? They're not going to be top 3. We get it. There are legitimate superstar teams in this league right now.
Is there a looming issue with the big market, small market situation in the NBA? To me, it seems like
looming.
There's the.
It's already there.
I mean, is it going to get worse? I mean, and that's a problem, I think, for any league where 5 or 6 teams are the only ones that any player wants to go to, and that anybody will watch, and that anybody and only has a chance to win because Kevin, you and I talked about this. You went to a game in Phoenix, and you felt that there, didn't you?
Well, yeah. So to me, this is the league's issue, and one thing the league does a great job of, the NBA does, is marketing their star players. They do an unbelievable job of it because you know who they are. They transcend that sport elsewhere. But if you're not one of those 10 guys they market, you go to a game and you're like, And it was a great game. It was the Suns and Hawks, and it was a great game. Young was phenomenal in the fourth quarter for the Hawks. Booker played a nice game, but I'm like, nobody knows. Like somebody in our group's like, who are these guys? I'm like, what do you mean? Who are these guys? Follow basketball. You'll know who these guys are. So they need to do a better job of building up those players, as to have every team have a star the way it used to be in the 80s, right? Every team had a star, and you knew every team's star or 2-star players. You can go to a Memphis Grizzlies and Orlando Magic game, and you'd be like, who the hell is on the court? Because they don't market those players.
It's that narrative is gone, unfortunately. And it's gone because it's buddy now, right? And LeBron
players
broke basketball
to be gone.
LeBron broke basketball. And to bring it back to our discussion here about the trade deadline, there's a really good reason that the Knicks shed $31 million in cap space for next year, right? I mean, it's not for one player; it's for 2, maybe 3. I mean, they are
plus a high draft pick potentially.
Plus the high draft pick.
Yeah, they traded Porzingis, Lee, Hardaway, Trey Burke. Burke was a small number, and Porzingis is 5.6.
I mean, there's already there's already people in New York who think Zion Williamson and Kevin Durant next year.
But
right?
they moved them to the Mavericks, by the way, and then they brought in an expiring contract, and DeAndre Jordan's a $23 million.
It'll shed
player,
off.
right?
Most of the money sheds off this year. Let's go. Let's get down the rabbit hole a little bit with the Knicks, by the way. So you mentioned DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan, guess who he's buddies with? Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant, yep.
So you bring in DeAndre Jordan. His contract expires. Make sure he and Durant are in conversation the whole offseason. Make sure everything's good to go. Durant comes back. You re-sign DeAndre Jordan at a cheap price. Then you got your one superstar. And then you got Durant. You start getting other guys. Did you see what they did with the season tickets?
No.
Have you guys seen this?
No.
They put out a promotion for 19-20 season tickets for the Knicks. And it's a picture of a Knicks player who I've never seen in my life. I think he's like a bench guy. Dribbling a basketball with Durant guarding him. That is the ad. That's awesome. That's the ad going
That's
out.
That's awesome.
That's collusion.
I thought you were going to say they put Uncle Drew out there.
Yeah, that's basically.
Awesome. No, it is literally some no-name Nick with a Golden State
I thought you were going
Warriors,
to tell me it was
Kevin
like
Durant.
a blurred out face that if you like
no, it was
your
way
eyes,
more
it
obvious.
looks like Kevin Durant.
Way more obvious.
Right?
No, they could have just photoshopped the Knicks jersey on him for crimson.
Part of that's letting Durant know, hey, we want you. You can say it's tampering, not collusion, right? It's tampering.
You don't trade Porzingis without knowing. They know. They know
who they're going to get.
They know that they can pretty much do what they want this offseason. You mentioned the draft pick. You mentioned the cap
and they
space.
probably know the NBA is going to want it to happen because they want their flagship New York team to not be a garbage fire, which it's been for 20 years.
This is a legitimate spot for Anthony Davis. This is becoming my maybe favorite spot for him to land because the Knicks can trade that top 3 pick. They don't need Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson's not going to win a championship
debates
tomorrow.
as to whether he's going, what kind of player he is going to be in the NBA.
Certainly not the first year, first 2 years maybe, right? And they need to win. You mentioned it, that the league wants them to win. They need to win right now. Kevin Durant's not coming to rebuild a team. He's coming to win in 2019. So if that means Anthony Davis instead of Zion Williamson, that's where they're going, right? So they've got a lot of capital. They've got a lot of clout right now. They've shed the money. They've done everything they needed to do. They're the ones to watch for all of this. Like I said, the Lakers, I think it's twofold. Number one, they were burned by a smart Pelicans owner, and they didn't get their trade. I also think now LeBron's healthy, sort of. He's back at least. They're 10th in the West.
Yeah, they're a couple games out.
They're going to make a
pushing
massive push.
Yep.
And that's going to bring that team together. And if they get in and go through a couple of rounds, you're really going to shake that team up?
Right.
You're really going to trade 4 guys off that team after they went through this entire year together?
Yeah. By the way, LeBron's not stupid.
No.
The Lakers aren't stupid. He's injured.
Yeah.
They held him out a little long. Get him rest because he knows he's going to carry it.
They're them not getting in would be a disaster.
They're going to make the playoffs.
By the way, this is
because LeBron's going to carry them into the playoffs. If he could do it with the Cavaliers team and bring them all the way to the finals in the Eastern Conference,
that's my point.
You don't think LeBron can get the Lakers the 7th or 8th seed? You're kidding yourself.
This is generally the week that LeBron goes to Miami and vacations, by the way. Just takes the week off.
Sure.
To replenish his energy.
He's already had
that. So we're missing that. But yeah.
By the way, I love his show on HBO.
Oh, awesome.
The Barbershop.
Awesome.
Show. It's a fantastic show.
Awesome. Talk about collusion, by the way.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
It's just guys talking about the future.
That's true.
Might as well just have Durant there.
They probably couldn't air that episode.
One more quick thing about
but Durant to the Knicks. I tell you, Durant to the Knicks next year.
Who's been saying that for the last year, huh?
I've said that.
Cliff Kingsbury.
Me.
Oh, sorry, you.
I thought you said Washington.
Stop it. I did not. Bring the tape back up.
Nobody
Kevin.
reads anything anymore.
No, there's no accountability.
The Knicks would be great. The Knicks would be fantastic.
I agree. 2 teams that made some solid moves on the trade deadline for a very different reason. Houston Rockets, Washington Wizards, amazingly, by the way, both got shed significant amount of tax cap. The Rockets actually got themselves under the tax cap, which is, for a team that's built like that and, has had to go through what they've gone through with their max contracts, it's pretty incredible that they were able to do that. Not a fun team to watch, though, outside of James Harden. I don't know if you've watched the Rockets lately.
Haven't watched them lately, but Harden's incredible.
30 games now. 30 games of 30 points or more in a row.
And he's been assisted.
30 games.
Yeah, and the assists.
Well, Chris Paul's back now.
Right, no, but I'm saying,
Yeah, it's been mostly him.
Right.
What's their record?
He takes the ball from the back court to the front court and just scores. Like, nobody passes in the ball.
Yeah, dribbles in the lane, knocks somebody over with a forearm and scores.
Some of his players, though, have complained to the NBA that the inbounds pass should count as an assist.
Speaking of stats, by the way, another one to mention here as we're parting, Russell Westbrook. I know not a lot of people like to like him. 10 straight triple-doubles. 10.
I think he's a phenomenal player.
That's outstanding.
Phenomenal player.
Dark horse team to watch in the West.
Yeah, he is an incredible player. Oklahoma City, it's incredible to think.
Small markets.
Right.
Let's bring it back full circle here. Let's do it.
Couldn't keep Westbrook
and Durant.
Harden and Durant together. What would they be?
Yeah.
But there's only one basketball. That's the problem.
Yeah, Harden got picked last in the NBL. Did you see that, the All-Star draft? I think he was second last. Maybe not that much, but he wasn't good.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody wants to play with James Harden right now.
All right. Great stuff. It'll be fun to watch this how it unfolds. The NBA playoffs the last couple of years, even though, listen, it's been Warriors, Cavaliers, I think the NBA playoffs has been fantastic.
Yeah.
It really has. It's been great stuff, and this is when the teams, start going, and we'll watch out for the Lakers.
22 trades, by the way. 22
That's
NBA trades at the deadline week.
We didn't even ask
about
the Sixers. How about the Sixers getting Toby Harris?
Yeah, good stuff.
And they traded Fultz away, Markelle Fultz, which
is unbelievable.
Well,
I mean, they got 2 picks and a player. It's pretty unbelievable that they're able to do that, by the way. But they're almost ready, in my opinion. They've got a couple of guys who are sort of the same player right now, and I don't think Ben Simmons is there yet. I still think he's a superstar. He's just not there yet. So maybe they're 1 year away from legitimately contending, although Boston's kind of a dumpster fire right now.
Yeah.
I really like those Milwaukee Bucks.
You know what's going to happen?
Let's
go
go Giannis.
Oh, real quick. Kyrie is setting the stage to go back with LeBron, right?
I don't know what Kyrie's doing. Yeah, I do think that.
Right?
I do think that's what happens.
You think he's realized, like,
Yeah.
man, I screwed up.
Yeah.
I screwed up.
Because, look, if they there's a chance they trade Lonzo. Even if it's not for Anthony Davis. There's a chance they really do ship him to Phoenix for a pick.
I think they'll get anybody to take him.
And then if they do free up that point guard spot, I think it's time.
Get Dad, out of there.
I think it's time. And they probably should shake up something. I just don't think it's going to be 4 starters for Anthony Davis. That to me is crazy if this team can glue together a little bit. But if they do end up trading Lonzo Ball and Rajon Rondo is a free agent, there's a perfect opening for a point guard who can shoot.
All right. Good stuff. Hey, make sure you check out the premium section of SpotTrack.com. Become a premium member. Ad-free experience. You get some other exclusive content from SpotTrack.com. Make sure you rate us on iTunes and wherever else you get your podcasts. And we'll get off of Paul's lawn and talk to you next time here on the Spot Track.
Get off my lawn.
SpotTrack.com podcast.